right, how are you guys doing tonight? I feel like we haven't talked in a while. Maybe that's just me, but hope everybody's doing well. It's the crazy heat wave right now, so it's midnight and I'm outside and it's finally nice today. Today I want to talk about an idea that I had the other day. I was talking to a client and they're in a position that's maybe not that unique, but so it might work out for you. And so I want to talk about an idea of when maybe you should sell your rental property if you have one and you're close to retirement, and how that might look and how that might actually work out. So the first thing that we need to talk about when we're talking about selling a rental property, or maybe even a cottage or something like that, is capital gains. What happens when you sell real estate? Well, when you sell your own house, your primary residence, you can sell it. There's no tax implications. The CRA is now asking questions about when you sell your primary residence, because I'm pretty sure that there's chatter about them adding on some sort of tax for selling your principal residence because they want some money. Now, capital gains are always going to have to be paid on a rental property if you didn't live in it, as long as there was a gain. And in most cases, obviously, especially this year, if your real estate value went down, I don't know what you did to your house. Maybe there's 14,000 cats living inside of it or something like that. I don't exactly know. But so I'll give a couple easy examples. So let's say you bought a condo, 10, 15 years ago for $200,000, and now it's worth, $430,000. So you go and sell it, and now the realtor charges you like $750,000 for selling. I'm just kidding. They charge you a bit of money, obviously, to sell your place. Then you've got some realtor fees. Let's say after all of the expenses are paid, you have $400,000. You've sold it for $400,000 after expenses. You paid $200,000 for it. Let's pretend you didn't put any upgrades into it. The cost base of this property was 200 grand. You sold it for 400. You made a capital gain of $200,000. Now, the first thing you have to think about when you have a capital gain is, okay, how much of that is taxed? So you had a capital gain of 200 grand. 50% of that $200,000 is going to be taxed. So that's called the 50% inclusion rate. So your taxable capital gain now is $100,000. And how that is taxed is that it is going to be added on to your income and then taxed at, whichever tax brackets that all lands in. So my thought process here is, okay, generally speaking, when you're working, you're going to have an income. If you sell a property, if say you have a high income, then you sell it, you've got $100,000 on top of, say, your $100,000 salary. You're going to get taxed fairly heavily for selling that property while you're making good money. And in retirement, you're going to have income streams that are taxable. So say you're taking CPP, OAS, maybe you're drawing from your RSP, you have some other income, maybe that's $50,000, and you sell this property when you're drawing this income. Now the $100,000 is added on to that $50,000 of income. So my thought process is, if you're a landlord that in retirement you just don't really want to be a landlord anymore, you kind of just want to get out of it, you don't want the stress of owning a rental property, or say, I'm going to take this money, I just don't want to be a landlord through retirement, even though you like the idea of that income stream. You've decided you will sell. So why wouldn't we then sell in the very first year of retirement that you have? So in that case, we know that you can make it so that you have no sources of income in that year, because you don't have to choose to take CPP when you retire, or you don't have to choose to take OAS that year. and you don't have to draw any money out of your RSP or potentially your workplace pension plan or something like that. So in that case, you can save a whole bunch of tax because that income that you made is the only income you made in that entire year, in a different scenario where you had different sources of income. So what I've done here is I've said, let's just look at somebody, for example, that retires at 65 and sells the property, makes no income, and so they have a taxable capital gain of $100,000 in Ontario. Well, in that case, they're going to pay $23,454 in tax on that $100,000. They're left with, $376,546. They can use some of that money as tax-free cash to live the remainder of the year, tax-free. And they could do that for as long as they want until their income runs out, which might potentially be a scenario to consider. I'm not totally sure about that. But in a different scenario where this person said, you know what, I'm 65, I'm retired, I'm taking CPP, I'm taking OAS, I'm starting to draw for my RSP, I have $50,000 in income in this year. Well, now all of a sudden, this person is going to owe $37,502 in tax because that $100,000 is added on top of their $50,000 worth of income. So in scenario one, they've saved $14,048 in tax. Another sort of bonus of doing it like this is this allows them to delay CPP and OAS for a year. So delaying CPP by just that 1 year increases your lifelong benefit by 8.4%, which is pretty significant once you factor in the fact that that's also increased with inflation. And delaying OAS for that year increases it by 7.2%. So basically, they're kind of, it is sort of a unique but something that you can plan for circumstance. And that also allows you to actually delay taking out of your RSP, maybe your pension, depending on how that is. So hopefully the RSP, the TFSA can grow more. And this allows you to really make some good choices in retirement as to how you want to start drawing out your income. Because now you can say, you know what, maybe I can delay CPP and OAS until 70. And maybe that makes sense. Or maybe I want to take it and, invest this non-registered money, or potentially in some circumstances, I've seen some boomers say, oh, now we've got this influx of cash, can be gifted to their children if that's just extra money that isn't necessarily needed for retirement. So whole bunch of different things to discuss, but with a little bit of planning, you can save some significant tax by doing something like this, if that's a strategy that makes sense for you, which only you know that. Obviously, as always, please subscribe if you haven't. If you enjoyed this video, you want to see some different topics discussed, let us know in the comments. We love to hear from you, and we'll see you soon. Reach out at info@k4financial.ca anytime if you'd like to talk to us. Thanks.